sovereignty is the freedom to make independent decisions. And Ukraine does not have that and has never had that since 2014 when its government was installed by an American coup.
Zelensky would say he was democratically elected.
Well, he's not democratically elected. He's passed his term.
Well,
and so by what authority hold on, let me question.
Go ahead.
By what authority does Zelensky negotiate on behalf of his country, rule his country? He just put his main political opponent under indictment and froze his personal funds under internal sanctions, the security services of Ukraine.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
I don't know.
We just went through the same thing in this country.
Sounds like dictatorship,
what I'm saying
by
is,
the way.
No, but he's not a dictator. And
then by what authority does he rule Ukraine?
So here's how. He was elected, and now, under their constitution, he does have the ability to stall elections and operate under martial law during the conflict.
So you're comfortable with people saying, I'm going to... No, he could certainly have an election if he wanted.
If he wanted, but he is empowered. He doesn't want
an election. You're from a political family.
It's the same thing with Israel right now. They're not having elections either because they're in the midst of an active conflict. It's not a time for transition of power.
Okay, but I don't know why we make excuses for dictatorship.
It's not a dictatorship.
Of course it is. Any unelected leader who has the power...
He was elected. He was elected.
Actually, he has a presidential term.
Right.
If Joe Biden just said, you know what, we're in a conflict right now, I can't have elections, I'm canceling the election, or if Donald Trump...
But there's a constitutional provision for this.
Okay. He could have an election whenever he wanted. He could have an election right now. No one doubts that, actually. And his opponent was calling for that before he was just shut down by the Ukrainian intel services a week ago. So there's no authority. He doesn't have democratic authority over his country. What he has is a lot of NATO weapons. And to your second point, he has absolutely, as a matter of fact, the Ukrainian military has sold those weapons on the black market around the world. And they have these are facts. They've wound up in the hands of, among others, the Mexican drug cartels, the Taliban, Hamas in Gaza. Fact. And a lot of other groups. And it's incredibly destabilizing, by the way. The United States did this years ago in Afghanistan, as you know, and sent a bunch of Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen in 1979 and 80 to fight the Soviets. And those missiles caused huge problems for all of Southwest Asia for like 20 years. And so this is a big deal. And I don't know why people feel like they have to lie about it. Now,
I don't know that it's about lying about it. I don't agree that those are facts.
You don't believe that the Ukrainian military, you know what?
I'll tell you why.
I'll bet you my car that in the next
What kind of car is it?
Well, it's some crappy...
Oh, then I'm not going to bet that.
Okay. No, I don't have nice cars. I'll admit that. I've never bought a new car.
I do, so we're not doing a swap.
Okay. But anyway, the point is, that's and as no one believes me. I know someone who bought some of the weapons. I'm just, whatever. I can't.
Well, first of all, you would have to substantiate, who it is that you knew, because...
Do you believe the most corrupt country in Europe, which is so corrupt that NATO didn't want it as a member, you believe it's outside the realm of possibility that facing defeat, the leaders of that military would not sell the weapons that they're getting from the West?
You cannot substantiate a claim on the basis of mere suspicion. That because
it's not mere suspicion.
Hold on a
I
second.
know someone who bought some of the weapons.
I believe that you think that. What I'm saying
I don't think that. I know it.
I'm saying that, well, you know that they say it. You don't know whether they did. And I'll tell you why I'm suspicious. Because the missiles that Russia put out those pictures of were from like 2014, and they didn't even have javelins then. So the idea that Ukraine could have been selling weapons that were taken from a different time as an obvious ploy by Russia to make them look bad is, to me, propaganda and not proof that they did it.
Okay.
Are you texting while I'm having a conversation with you?
I'm texting right now.
Very rude.
No, I'm texting
rude.
on WhatsApp right now on this exact subject.
Tucker, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying I'm disagreeing that it's a fact that the military there is spending weapons that they very much need to Mexican cartels. Why does Mexico's cartels need to get weapons from Ukraine when they get them across our border with straw buyers all the time? I mean, to me, it doesn't even make sense from a practicality standpoint, but it seems like...
Straw buyers? You can get surface-to-air missiles from straw buyers?
No, not surface-to-air missiles. No, small arms. Small arms.
No, small arms. Small arms you can buy anywhere. No, I'm talking about weapons systems.
But this is not documented stuff, and it seems to want to smear Ukraine to make them the bad guy and make Russia the good guy.
Ukraine. Okay. This is one of those topics that I'm just going to
I'm not mad at you. By
No.
the way. It's a conversation.
I'm mad because I know this is true. Because
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't know it.
It's a fact, and unfortunately, I can't. And maybe I shouldn't have brought it up because I can't name the person who told me
I don't want you to expose a source.
I'm not going to.
What I'm saying is,
look,
people.
Let me bottom line
do
it by
bad
saying,
things with money that we give them.
I have a huge amount of knowledge on this one topic. I'm wholly ignorant of many topics. I know a lot about this topic.
And you think Zelensky's a bad guy who's a dictator?
What I'm telling you is the Ukrainian military has sold huge amounts of American-supplied, NATO-supplied weapon systems around the world, and that they're purchasable now by governments and armed groups and are being purchased.
And why hasn't it been documented?
I'm just telling you that if this will be documented, and I got that directly once again from someone who purchased quite a few of those weapons, who I know personally, and in another country, and knows a lot about this. It runs a military, and it's just frustrating because I can't say
but I'm
beyond
not.
that.
Look, my point is not to frustrate you, Tucker. It's to understand this mentality of framing Ukraine and Zelensky as the bad guy.
It's not. Look, it's noting the facts. The guy's not elected.
He is elected. His term has been expended constitutionally.
Would you be comfortable if we were? Well, we are in a war with Russia right now. If Donald Trump, no, it is a war with Russia. Americans have died.
It's a proxy war.
It's a war that we're funding.
We're not on the ground there.
What do you mean? There are many Americans in Ukraine fighting.
U.S. military.
There are
is
U.S.
not in the
military.
ground.
Yes, there are.
Look, I know that there are.
What are you talking about?
They're not actively fighting Russian forces.
What do you mean they're guiding weapons into Russia?
Yes.
What do you mean they're not actively fighting? They're absolutely actively fighting.
Well, have we declared war?
Of course not. We didn't declare war in Vietnam or Korea. That doesn't mean anything.
True. Did in Iraq.
I guess we did. That went well.
There was a congressional vote.
Of course. But the point is, if Trump were to say we're at war with Russia, I can't have an election, I would say that's not legitimate. You do not have the authority to extend, and I don't care, what pretext you make up for it. You can't put your opponents in jail. You can't, but more than anything, what I'm saying is that this is scary. It's not even blaming Zelensky. There are many power centers within Ukraine. There's the military, the intel services, there's the president's office. There are competing political
people say the same things about us, by the way.
Of course, it's true. It's true. Especially true here. It's a huge country. I'm not even blaming Zelensky directly. I'm saying this is the largest country in Europe. We have poured billions of dollars in pretty high-tech weapons systems into this country, and we're not keeping track of them. We also have biolabs throughout the country. We have biolabs.
And we're about to have more of a footprint because the mineral deal will put American companies on the ground in those areas that are right now war zones.
That. All I'm saying is we've funded the worst war Europe has seen since World War II for 3 years. That entails an awful lot of weapons, including bioweapons. I'm not guessing. This is a fact. Toria Nuland said it in a conversation with the now Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, in the Senate on camera. So there are biolabs in Ukraine with biological weapons in them. Who the hell is keeping track of this stuff? That's all I'm saying. It's not an attack on Zelensky. We have a moral obligation to keep track of this stuff. There's never been an audit.
I have no problem with that.
It's fucking crazy.
I have no problem with keeping track of it.
Talk about destabilization of the world. Like, why are we doing this?
So do you believe that we should just back out of what we're doing there now and let Russia take it?
Russia take it? I don't know. At this point, Russia has, we're not in charge. Russia just won. They beat us in their war. In case you haven't noticed, Russia outproduced in munitions NATO, including the United States, 4-1. So we just lost the war. So we are not negotiating from a position of strength. Sorry. I'm not taking Russia's side. I'm on America's side. This is terrible for us. We've exposed how weak we are. We couldn't beat Russia, which many members of the U.S. Senate assured me was, quote, a gas station with...
That was McCain's line.
What a fucking idiot that guy was. What an idiot he was. Low IQ. I knew him and I liked him, but he was like an idiot. A gas station with nuclear weapons. Really? Have you
See, I saw it the other way, which is we thought Russia was going to roll over Ukraine, and they have been unable to really move the line.
They rolled over us. They took a big chunk of eastern Ukraine, and for 3 years we've progressed toward bankruptcy trying to stop it, and we've not been able to. They won. This is bad. It's bad for American prestige. It's bad for the projection of American power. Everyone knows what we're capable of and what we're not capable of. It's divided our country. All these dumb Ukraine people are flying foreign flags in front of their houses.
See, I feel that the division is forced in this country. That, to me, it seems pretty basic that Russia can't have Ukraine because it doesn't stop it.
What are we going to do?
It doesn't stop at Ukraine.
But at some
point. Then it's Estonia and Latvia. And
Estonia. You know, it's always some chick, that blonde chick. I'm president of Estonia. You know, a country of 5 million people that invented the sauna. By the way, I'm part Finnish. I'm not against Estonia. I'm sure it's great. But the idea that some woman who's never been in the armed service, like setting military policy for the EU, you know, we're going to do this, we're going to. You can't do anything. You don't have an army. Britain's army is smaller than the U.S. Marine Corps. NATO, which is a coalition that includes, by the way, Turkey, it's like this huge coalition, couldn't beat Russia. That is the fact. I don't want that to be the fact. That is the fact. But so Americans are like, well, we can't allow this. Well, what are you going to do about it?
I don't say that it's a fact because we are not fighting in earnest in that country.
So what? Okay, so what would you? Here are the terms. We have a nuclear armed power, largest nuclear arsenal in the world, that is fighting for its very life, that is aligned with China. Okay, which is the largest economy in the world.
I don't know that Russia's fighting for its life. I think Putin forced this situation.
Okay, whatever. Leaving aside moral culpability, I'm just saying it's a big deal for them. It's on their border. It's their border, okay? So we don't like it. We weighed in on the other side to fight Russia. We haven't won. So now what are our options? Like, actually, what are our options?
The options are what President Trump is doing right now, which is to try to get the parties to the table and draw a line in the sand and make a deal, right?
That's the only option I see. I don't see any other options, but maybe I'd love to hear what they are.
No, I mean, there's never any other option unless you want to actively fight and take territory and occupy.
Who's going to actively fight? There are no Ukrainians left.
Well, look, both sides are manpower poor, right? You know the stories about Russia emptying the prisons.
Russia has 100 million
140 million people. But
100 million more people.
But have you ever heard of us emptying out the prisons? I mean, why does he have to do that? He's in a desperate place.
Because he doesn't want his citizens to have to fight an unpopular war because he's worried about his popularity because he wants to stay in power. So it's easier to send convicts to the front. They have done this for centuries. I'm against it, but I'm just saying that's the fact. The point is...
You think Putin is concerned about his popularity in a place where he kills all of his opponents on a regular basis?
He's very concerned about his popularity.
Really? When he completely engineers the outcome of everything that happens
Russia is a very complicated place with a lot of different competing power centers, including the FSB, which
Then how has he stayed in power so long?
Because he's really good at politics, and he pays very close attention to what the public thinks. Very close. He's got the military, just like any country. First of all,
you know how lousy life is there for people, right? Well, and not just because of the economic sanctions right now. It just has been. I mean, have you been
there recently?
Recently, no.
I've been there twice.
We're not allowed in.
I've been there twice in the last year.
Why are you allowed in?
I don't know. I'm an American.
Friend of Putin. That's
whatever.
Friend of Putin.
Because I believe in seeing things and reaching my own conclusions.
Oh, me too. I'm not allowed in there as a journalist.
I'm sure you could call right now and they will let you in, and you should go.
They just wouldn't let me out. Wind up like Paul Whalen.
I think
and you wouldn't be arguing my case.
But look, here's the point. No, Russia, Putin does not have absolute control of his country, and there are all kinds of potential rivals. He's been there for.
You sound more sympathetic towards him than towards Zelensky. You just do.
I'm definitely more sympathetic to Putin than Zelensky for the following reason. I'm not sympathetic to Putin in the sense that I don't want to move to Russia. I don't see Russia as like a close friend of mine at all, or a free country or anything like that. I'm just saying, I think it's fair to judge leaders on how they do for their country. They have one job. Do a good job for your country. Make it better. And
you think Russia's doing well?
A lot better than Ukraine. I mean, a lot of Ukrainians have fled Ukraine to Russia. A lot.
Well, yeah, they're under siege right now.
No, but I'm just saying, like, Russia actually, for a country at war, is thriving. I think it's got deeper problems. War is not good for any economy over time or any country over time. But there's been such a massive infusion of Chinese investment into Russia in the past couple of years that people in, say, Moscow, city of 12 million, they don't feel the privation that populations under war typically
But there's a reason he made that deal with North Korea to have their people backing him up on the battle lines.
I'm sure that's exactly right. I mean, there are a lot of theories on that. I've heard a lot of things, but here's the only point that I'm making from an American perspective. Americans fall into this trap, which is a childish trap, where they superimpose like a really clear moral dichotomy onto foreign conflicts where there's like a great guy and an evil guy.
Yes.
And they're able to do that because they don't know anything, because they've never been anywhere, and they don't actually, their leaders I'm talking about, don't kind of take the time to understand that they don't understand. The more you know, the more you realize you really don't know. Because do you speak Russian? I don't think so. So like, how the hell do you know what's going on? You don't know. The best you can do is like be open-minded and let evidence guide your conclusions. So from an American perspective, what we've learned is the U.S. capacity for projecting strength through the military is a lot less than we thought it was. We couldn't beat Russia. We didn't beat Russia. They won. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.